What is a business model, Charlie?
Have you ever had that moment when you talk to someone who's like deep in IT or coding and you would ask them a question? It's like, hey, my computer, it's like playing up, it's doing this thing. And then they just start speaking another language about like RAMs and SSDs and DDRs and GPUs.
I feel like you've spoken to my brother before. He's a developer, deep in it.
The curse of assumed knowledge, right? You understand something and then you assume other people do. Now, you and I, Grant, have spent a lot of time on business models where I could understand we may have, and it sounds like we have here, actually applied some assumed knowledge that people understand what business improvement is. So this is on us. We've done a poor job of explaining it. So I'll take this one here. To bring it back to like first principles in a way I think about it, is that your business model is really a reflection of how you do business. That's the simple definition I use. I think it could be really powerful to use an analogy here to go through it, because once you can, I suppose, grasp this analogy, I think it makes it much easier to bring in the business world. So I'm going to use fitness. All right, work with me on this. Let's say you're someone who wants to lose 10 kilos. So you've got a fitness goal. Now, hint, hint, if you're in business, maybe you've got a goal of making 10 grand a month or 100 grand a month or whatever it is. So the first step with actually defining business model improvement is you have to have a measurement to improve against. So if you don't know what your goal is in business or in fitness here, well, any improvements you attempt to make, well, how do you know if it's an improvement?
Totally.
It's like, well, if there is no goal, everything is making it better or worse. So really, really key point. If you're going to go down the path of wanting to improve your business model, you've got to be crystal clear on what you're actually trying to achieve. Now, the business model in fitness would be the strategies, tactics that you bring to produce that result. So let's say you're on a fitness plan right now and you are losing 1 kilo a month, right? Your business model is producing a result of a 1 kilo a month weight loss along this goal of losing 10 kilos. If you were going to make an improvement on that, maybe with changing your sleep or getting a new personal trainer or changing your nutrition, maybe you get a new diet. If you were able to increase the speed you lose weight from 1 kilo a month to 1.5 or 2 kilos a month, that would be a business model improvement. Now, what's the process of actually doing business model improvement? It's making changes to how you do fitness so you can increase your results. That's the way I think about this analogy. So when you bring that over to business, you've got your business. Maybe it's producing an amount of profit for you right now. You've got a goal, you want to increase that profit. The changes you would make to how you do business would be the business model improvements.
I think you summarized that perfectly. That was like
I practiced that so many times, you have no idea.
It was actually awesome. Because to continue on to that point, right, once you get your fitness to, losing 2 kilos a month, right, and then you're consistently losing 2 kilos a month, when you get into month 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever, you get to stop and reevaluate, because then you get to go, well, is this actually the goal that I want? Or by the time you keep losing 2 kilos a month, you're at a weight that you want to sustain. Your question is, well, how do I sustain this? Which is very different again, right? You will change maybe your sleep, your nutrition, your fitness or your workout plan to make sure you can maintain that. Or you might say, well, I want a different goal, right? I want to build more muscles. Oh, great. It's fine. You can iterate it. And the challenge that I feel that a lot of people have on this is they think that a change of business model is this entire pivot of a business, where it's not. Like, it can be these fractional improvements that are just done regularly. Like, you can change it ever so slightly every month, for example. Every 6 months, for example, you can do a bigger change. Like, it doesn't need to be this stop, pivot 180 degrees and let's go. It's like, no, it's like these little tweaks, little improvements as your personal goals change from your business or as your business goals change. Like, it's as simple as that.
I really like the way you've defined that. And to elaborate a little bit further is like, the way I'm looking at it here, it could be something really minor.
Tiny.
Like a business model improvement just might be changing a supplier or a manager or a pricing, right? This might literally just be logging into your shopping cart provider and updating some prices to do things. But it can be large as well, right? There can be some pretty big ones, but it should not be confused with changing business. changing business model and changing business, I think, are different things. But I really like the way you've articulated that. I'll throw in a couple of ones that I kind of find interesting, or where I see people make some interesting choices. We'll put it that way. And I didn't do this ever, just as I say this, right? I'm perfect, remember.
Stories of other people's stories. It's great.
Yeah, well, mostly when, actually, I'll just say it right now, is like every time I say, oh, what have I observed in others, I'm really saying this is what I did.
Just trying to be nice.
Yeah, I'm trying not to just, shit on myself too much, but we're here now.
I'll let you. Just shit on yourself. It's good.
All right, so for me, not even going to put anyone else in this one, where I struggled to improve my business model initially was just this more mentality. So when it came to improving business, is like, all right, well, I want more profit. I want to have more time. Like, do you know what? I want my revenue to be bigger. Like, I want to reduce my risk. Like, all these things in one thing, and also really vague. So it's just like this more mentality without clarity. And that's a mistake when I think it comes to approaching business model improvement, because one can actually work against the other. So reducing your risk might actually, cost you money, but improving that goes directly against improving profitability if that was the goal you were going after. So vagueness and then confliction can be huge. And then the second one I come up against, or have really struggled with at times, is like being aware that things change. Right? Things change. And then I could get stuck in and stubborn in my way. So it's almost like we settle, and I don't know, it can be really hard to get a business to work in general. And like when you do get one to work, so maybe you finally got a business producing 10 grand a month, the idea of changing things that work, too much. It's way too much. We settle, right? So like, oh, well, this is how we do sales. I'm comfortable in this. You might actually have to change the way you do sales to get to that next level. And that can be very confronting for people to make change.
All right. Hang on. It's time for me to shit on myself too.
Go for it.
On the reverse side, like one of the biggest challenges that I had in business model design was, so one of our software as a service companies, the whole goal was to sell for $100 million. Right. But like that doesn't define a business model. Like, how do I improve on that? So, well, the goal is $100 million exit. It's like, great, like that's going to happen in 10 years' time. So what are we operating as now? And it's like, it's just too far. It's like going from being overweight and saying, I'm going to join Mr. Olympia. It's like, well, no, there's so many iterations you got to do between now and then in order to even get there. And so like that was one of the biggest problems that I had, because I'm like, cool, let's go and build a business model around selling for $100 million. And I'm like, well, actually, there's a lot of different changes I have to do throughout that entire journey. So I just went just way too far. It wasn't ambiguous. It was just way too far ahead.
That's really interesting. I'm not against people having goals like that. I love that as an overall goal for a business. But what would you suggest instead? Is this the idea of like, okay, we know eventually we want to sell for $100 million. Do we have like milestone goals or
seasonality,
12 months or something?
Exactly. So it's like if I'm flying to Europe, I might go and have to stop off in like 2 cities along the way. I might have to go to Singapore, then I might have to go to, London, and then I might have to go to Rome, for example. And it's just breaking it down into more achievable bite-sized chunks. Like, for example, for us, we went and raised a couple of $1 million. Okay, well, that's the goal. It's like, what do we need to do now in order to raise a couple of $1 million so that we can actually go and unlock the next team that's going to get us closer to a $100 million valuation? And so it's just breaking it down. It's just and I think that, like for myself, like it became quite challenging because I was operating or thinking about an organization that was going for a $100 million exit when I wasn't. And it's like, that's just dangerous because I'm making decisions of a $100 million organization when I'm just not. Like, it's like, you just can't win in that. You'll just dry yourself up. And yeah, so milestones along the way, based on the seasonality of where your business is, to get you to that bigger goal. Hey, fellow business owner, if this topic and value-packed short video has resonated with you at all, and you want to dive deeper into creating wealth inside and outside your business, check out the full episode by clicking the link on your screen or in the description right now.